Hey guys, Phil/Polygon here. Welcome to part 8 in a Purist's Guide to Character Building. Just rolled Sense Fortress. Huh? Get it? Pretty quick run through the level. Snagged some essential treasures. We made our first contact with Sigmire as well. We'll meet up with him a little bit down the way. But we really wanted to press on to this place. Anor Londo. City of the Gods, man. So back in the day, this was Gwyn's crib. Gwyn and all his court, the deities that once ruled the world, did so from their seat at Anor Londo. Truly majestic setting. Long since abandoned, everybody that was once here has moved out. Or have they? We'll find out. We needed to come here, of course, to snag the Lord Vessel. That'll allow us to get a little deeper in the game, advance the story, and access some areas that are currently locked. But there's a lot of faith-tastic goodies to be snagged here as well. So we'll do some looting, do some running across some rafters, have a lot of fun with a lot of knights. Anor Londo, here we go. Alright, so let's hit this bonfire and do a quick little pulse check on character development. I should point out, I have more souls on me than I left off with at the end of the last episode. That is because after I took out the Iron Golem back in Sense, I lingered for a little bit, trying to find some co-op, trying to earn some sunlight medals. Not a wholly lucrative endeavor. Co-op was pretty few and far between. I was waiting around for a long time. Made a couple of connections with people randomly dying, just like we showcased in the last one. Only had one successful run against the Iron Golem to get a sunlight medal. And after a time spent with little reward, I said, yeah, screw it. We're just going to advance to Anor Londo. Co-op's a little bit more happening there. We'll worry about sunlight medals later. I did put a couple extra points in faith. I wanted to get up to 28 so I could use Wrath of the Gods. And in fact, 28 faith is all we really need at this point to cast any of the miracles that we're interested in. We need 30 for Great Lightning Spear, which we don't have yet. We need 30 for Vow of Silence, which we don't have yet. But for now, we can use all of the miracles that we have with 28 faith. We're also fast rolling, and we can use our Partisan, one-handed, two-handed, whatever it is. So I feel pretty good about my character development. I mentioned a couple episodes back, I like getting to a place where my character is a weaker version of what she's ultimately going to be. Just so I can start getting a feel for her. I can start picking up the nuances of using the spear with miracles. Got a decent number of attunement slots. Doing character building that way absolutely comes at the expense of vitality and endurance. Yes, we can cast the miracles that we're interested in. Yes, we can use the weapons that we're interested in. And we're fast rolling. And our character behaves and performs just like she will at level 100 or 120 or whatever we take her up to. But she's pretty breathy and pretty squishy. So a good number of our levels for the foreseeable future will be sunk into vitality. We want some more HP. We need some more survivability. We got tougher enemies coming up, some tougher bosses, not to mention invaders popping in and out with their patented one-shot backstab technique. We'll do a little bit more attunement, and we'll do a little bit more faith too for the reasons I just mentioned, but we want more HPs. On the rafters too. See if we have a little bit better luck than old Iron Tarkus. Talk about that a little bit down the way. But I kept my force on me just for the jollies, man. It is so much fun. I love popping off these poiseless painting guardians. There you go, buddy. Go join your painting guardian brethren down below in a crumpled pile of white robes. I love it. It's so much fun just knocking those guys off. Force is actually practical for deflecting their throwing knives too. An underutilized side effect of force. It repels projectiles. Throwing knives, arrows, I think bombs as well. If somebody's ever hawking fire bombs at you, you can just shrug those off with force. You can do it in PvP as well. If anybody's ever bow cheesing you and you got force handy. It's risky because of laggy connections and timing and stuff like that, but it can happen. I've seen it done. So we're heading down to the Dark Moon Tomb. These gargoyles we're pretty much going to ignore. You do not have to take these guys on. You can just absolutely run by them. This one actually chases us down and prevents us from sitting at the bonfire, so that's just something to be aware of. But otherwise, they're exactly the same as the ones you take on top of the Undead Parish in the Belfry Gargoyle boss fight. They also drop the same gear, so they have a chance to drop the gargoyle helmet, the shield, the halberd. They also have the tail axe, so if you miss that weapon and have an interest in it, you can hack away at their ass. They'll drop you the axe in the same way. But we came down here for that Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. Boosts miracle powers and stacks with the Crown of Dusk. So at the end of this, with the crown, with the ring, and the ultimately 50 faith that this build is going to have, our miracles are going to hit like a truck. Let's talk about that for a second. So you could absolutely argue, and I'll take this squarely in the chest. What? Crown of Dusk, Ring of the Sun's Firstborn, and 50 faith? That is so min-maxy. That is so try-hardy. Yup, it sure is. But we're going to lean really heavily on the damage from our miracles, because this character is not going to be a buff build. We're going to use exclusively divine or occult weapons, and the split damage takes a pretty significant penalty in both PvP and PvE. So I'm kind of thinking as the weapon, as pretty much just a supplemental piece of equipment, and our primary damage is going to come from miracles, so we want to boost that as high as possible, hence crown and ring. We also want to hit this bonfire. One, for in the event we die, we can spawn past that rafter room. We don't have to run through there again. We don't have to slog all the way back from the beginning and return the crank. Also, that's a warpable bonfire. I was, debating whether or not to join up with the Dark Moons, but I forgot, nope, still need some sunlight metal, so we'll come back to that later. When we do need to join up with those guys, that's a warpable bonfire. When we have the Lord Vessel, we can just hop directly to it. So a little bit of a time saver for later, and an insurance policy for now. I was having some problems with that gargoyle too, man. I kept rolling with his swings instead of against him. Do as I say and not as I do, and always roll opposite a swing. Oh, treadmill action. Man, I love this. When you turn that crank and run in the opposite direction that this platform is spinning and focus on the horizon, you get this super charming little running in place treadmill action effect. It always brings a smile to my face when I come through Anor Londo. I love doing that. Just a goofy little parallax thing. You gotta take your joy where you can get it. Speaking of joy, segue. As we run through here and ignore these enemies and just dodge everything trying to kill us, I do try and appreciate the setting a little bit too. The exterior of Anor Londo is fucking beautiful, man. The sunset lighting, the cool gothic architecture in the cathedrals and the buildings, the scope of it, the grandeur of it. I love the details in the iron railings and the roof tiles and the columns and all that kind of thing too. I think it's a setting worthy of the gods. If I was a god, I'd be happy to call Anor Londo home. I think the interior doesn't have quite as much personality. It seems a little bit more homogeneous. You don't have as many details in the tiles and stuff. I think that makes sense though. The exterior is exposed to the elements. It's a little bit more worn. The interior is probably more well preserved. I don't know. Pretty cool. Not cool? Archers. The infamous archers, man. As you saw, we ran up here pretty quickly. Do not proceed carefully. Just haul ass up that little buttress. You can move faster than the arrows can track you. And once you're up here, that knight is probably going to continue shooting arrows at you for a while. I would advise against blocking those with your shield. Even if you do block them, they have a hell of a knockback, and it'll often send you in unexpected directions. Most likely down. So I always try and dodge any arrows that he's shooting at you. Rolling into the wall as well, just to be safe. Make sure you don't take any arrows, the errant steps off that ledge. Roll into the wall. Don't block. Haul ass. They are pretty tricky. Don't ever let anybody tell you this. Oh man, I passed those archers on my first time. It's not a big deal. Yes, it is. And no, you didn't. Everybody died to those guys their first time. It's a little bit tricky. It's cheap. Everybody remembers their first time going up against those archers. Getting so frustrated. But we made it. We've effectively broken in and we find ourselves in the Anor Londo interior. We hit that bonfire to set up a little anchor point. Solaire was in there chilling as well, blubbering on about his perpetual quest to find the sun. I don't know what that guy's deal is, but he's there. We'll utilize him against the Ornstein and Smough boss fight. We're also going to utilize this shortcut. If you haven't seen this before, I think this is something the speedrunners eventually discovered, or originally discovered. You can jump from these stairs in an elevated position over that little railing onto the walkway below. This bypasses a pretty good chunk of the level. It allows you quick access to a couple shortcuts. It also allows you to bolt directly to the boss fight. If you got here, sat at that bonfire, and just wanted to haul ass to Ornstein and Smough, take that shortcut, just continue on, you find yourself in the huge antechamber, and you can just pass through the boss fog. no big deal. Makes Anor Londo pretty quick if you're not interested in snagging any of the treasures here. We are, and there's a couple things to check off the list. We're just opening up some of these locked doors. It just makes the traversing the level a little bit easier in the event that you find yourself on the wrong side of a loading screen. But we do need to go hook up with Smough. After we helped him in Sens make it past those boulders, he did make his way to Anor Londo. And again, oh Monsieur Onion, side note, not really French, finds himself in a little bit of a situation that has me baffled. He's trapped by some silver knights. We gotta bail him out. And in the same way he couldn't take off his armor to make it past those rolling boulders, how can he not defeat these knights? He's got a giant-ass Zweihander, good armor, he's pretty poisey. Why can he not just defeat these guys? Oh, you know what it is? I think I just figured it out. It's because he can't parry. His goofy little shield, his spike shield, or it's not the spike shield, it's the, I can't remember the name. It's the unofficial Onion Bro shield. Doesn't parry. It's got a little shield bash with you where you poke him with the prong coming out of that shield. And these knights are a lot easier, despite our failures at timings. These knights are a lot easier if you can parry him. I bet that's exactly what it is. That's his pickle. We do need to help him out. That'll send him back to Firelink, and then we can grab the miracle that we're actually going through all this effort for. What else is here? Armor. Man, Anor Londo is a treasure trove of good armor sets. So if you want something super fashionable, swag-tastic, you can snag the Silver Knight set here. That's what these guys are rocking. I think that armor looks so cool, especially the chest piece with the awesome shoulder pads and the little half cape. I think that thing is so fetching. It's not as good defensively as like the Elite Knight armor set. Slightly more poisey though, and just looks phenomenal, in my opinion. If you want to go in completely the opposite direction, if you want to move as far away from swag as possible into dumbass appearance territory, Havel's set is also here. I am not a fan of the way that armor looks, but it has the best poise in the game and is really good defensively as well. Absolutely great magic defense. That makes sense. Havel, hating all things magic, wants to ensure he's defended against it, so he'll soup up his armor set with magic defense. And if defense is the name of the game, you can also visit the giant blacksmith and pick up the pieces to the giant set, which has the best defense in the game. Not quite as poisey as Havel's set, but an all-around phenomenal heavy armor set. If you want to make yourself a nice giant dad or something. Our character doesn't need any of that. We're using light sets and relying on the wolf ring for poise, but that stuff is here. We'll take a quick homeward bone back to the bonfire, reverse our hollowing with a caveat, and then proceed to take on Ornstein and Smough. Let me call out the caveat. Let me call out my bitchitude right here, because I flipped into offline mode. Whether you believe it or not, I am not simply pussing out of invasions. I had such a bad taste in my mouth after the co-op experience in Sen's Fortress that I was thinking, oh my god, it is going to take for goddamn ever to get enough sunlight medals to acquire my great lightning spear. So I am now thinking of this boss fight as a farming run. I can summon Solaire for it, take him into Ornstein and Smough. I don't even care if he goes through the fog gate. I can solo Ornstein and Smough. I'm totally cool with that. As long as that fucker is alive and I can get the medal, I'm happy. There's a couple other medals I can pick up in here as well. There's 3 of them in a chest back by that bonfire. But I am, from here on out, going to do everything possible to easily accumulate medals, because I don't want to have to sit around and wait for 20-25 minutes in between co-op sessions in order to try and farm these things, only to have the host fall off a ledge. So I'm going to go through here, carefully clear out this room, make sure Solaire has as cushy a job as possible. I'm actually going to equip a homeward bone as well, just to have it handy, so in the event that he goes out during the boss fight, I'm bailing, and I'm going to try the thing again. I want that damn medal. And old Solaire, poor old Solaire. You know, as beloved as he is, he doesn't have the greatest AI. There's been a number of situations, actually, where I'll summon him and then just make a dash for the boss fog, pass through it, and he'll get hung up on some of the enemies out here. It's funny. You're in there fighting Ornstein and Smough, wondering, where are you at, buddy? And Solaire's out here actually dicking around with some of these royal sentinels. And in the middle of your fight, you'll get a phantom Knight Solaire has been vanquished. I think that lightning spear was supposed to be a heal, so we're running into problems already. No, I just wanted to eliminate some of the wild cards, make sure Solaire doesn't get hung up on anything, make sure he's alive so I can get the metal. If you think that makes me a bitch, I'll just have to live with it. Though I will say, I think you're wrong, because there are a great many more factors contributing to my being a bitch than this one thing. It's a very complex situation. But at least I'll be a bitch plus 1 sunlight metal. Sorry. but we gotta deal with the Royal Sentinels for now. This room can actually be a little bit tricky, depending on how you approach it. These guys down here are pretty tough. Plus you got that Silver Knight up there, placed to do nothing but troll you with his Dragon Slayer Great Bow as you're trying to take on these Royal Sentinels below. These guys are the bigger, stronger cousins of those Sentinels from the very beginning. Right after the little Gargoyle or Bat Demon dropped us off here, a couple of regular Sentinels were keeping vigil. These guys have more HP, hit a little bit harder, they're equipped with heal, and they are equipped with the slowest, most excruciatingly delayed casting of Wrath of the Gods. They do have a Wrath. It's not super strong, but it can be a little bit dangerous just in terms of the timing. You see them start to cast it, your PvP instincts kick in a little bit, and so your roll timing is totally fucked. You actually have time to roll probably twice, and it'll catch you at the end of the last one. While we were down on that end of the room, we opened up those big double doors as well, effectively connecting the Anor Londo exterior to the Anor Londo interior. Not a whole lot of practicality around that, aside from just opening things up a little bit, making it easier to run around. You cannot warp to that bonfire inside where Solaire was sitting. You can warp to the Darkmoon Tomb, you can warp to the bonfire at the very beginning where the Nidus is just hanging out. And once we beat Ornstein and Smough, you can warp to the Chamber of the Princess up the ways a little bit. But it just kind of makes coming back here, revisiting for invasions or co-op or whatever you want to do a little bit easier. And also off this room, back up the way a little bit where that Silver Knight is hanging out with his trolley great bow, there's a passage that leads down to the giant blacksmith. The huge, long, descending staircase that as you climb down, you can hear the little tink, tink, tink of a blacksmith working at the bottom. He sells that giant armor, like I mentioned. There's also a hawk ring down there. There's a couple chunks lying around in the surrounding areas guarded by weird little bat demons. Nothing that we really need for this character, so we're just going to ignore that entire part of the level and focus on what's ahead. And what is ahead? Ornstein and Smough. Now that this room is cleared out, we can bring in Solaire. Nothing to confuse him, nothing to hurt him, nothing between him and us and the Fog Gate. As we go take on Ornstein and Smough, most infamous boss fight in the game. You know what, actually I bet the Bed of Chaos is the most infamous boss fight in the game, but for very, very different reasons. This is another situation. I believe everybody remembers the first time they ever took on Ornstein and Smough. It is one of those experiences. I'm getting frustrated. I got the rage spins. There's my rage dizzies for that initial hit. But I think everybody remembers their first time taking on Ornstein and Smough. It is just forever emblazoned upon your memory. And I had some rust coming in here. I had not fought these guys in a long time, as evidenced. It was almost over before it began, so my spacing's a little off, timing's a little off, but we'll see how it plays out. Looks like Solaire is doing a pretty good job keeping old Orny busy. We'll go ahead and focus on Smough. Doesn't matter which one of them I kill first. I'm not going to be able to utilize the Leo ring because of my divine weapons, and I don't care about the armor sets. I'm not going to use either one of them. This attack, Smough's attack where he charges, where he scooches along the ground like a steam shovel, and then does this big wind-up swing at the end of it. There's a couple situations I get in where I'm pretty confident I'm not going to be able to dodge away from that. As a result, I'll always let the first part of the attack hit me, because it'll knock you down, do a little bit less damage than the big swing at the end, and makes it a little easier to take. For the most part, that was not bad. Smough does not seem to like our lightning spears powered by the Crown of Dusk and the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. He went down pretty easily. And now we gotta take on Ornstein. Of course, showing a little bit of compassion, a little bit of remorse for his fallen comrade. Touches him lightly, sympathizes, and proceeds to transform into Super Ornstein. Ouch. He can be a little bit tough to track. When you're in close with him around his heels, sometimes it's tough to keep tabs on what he's doing. It is an advantageous spot though, because a lot of the hitboxes for his attacks will just completely miss you when you're at his feet. Gotta watch out for his lightning butt slam that he inherited from Smough, But outside of that, I'd like to stay at medium range with him because he'll still do his melee attacks, which give you a good opportunity to rush in afterwards and poke. Again, putting our miracles to work, getting lucky, and just trying to keep one eye on Solaire's health bar. Make sure he stays healthy. All about the medals. And no problem. There he goes. Definitely didn't like our overpowered miracles. That helped a ton. As did the assist from Solaire. This fight, especially the beginning part of it when both of them are still alive, plays out very, very differently if you come in here solo. You have to be pretty patient and pretty selective in terms of where you take your attacks, because you got Ornstein or Smough zipping in from God knows where to sucker punch your ass when you're trying to go in for a poke. Or slash, or bash, or punch, or whatever your attack of choice is. I say poke because our character is poking. I mean, I guess she also slashes too. Doesn't matter. 50,000 souls for your effort. I'm gonna spend that money on attunement to get back that slot I lost for unequipping the Seance ring when I replaced it with the Sun's Firstborn ring. And then back into Vitality. Now we need to go talk to Guinevere / not Guinevere. She's gonna give us some line of, I've been waiting for you, chosen undead, blah 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 blah, and then gift us with the Lord Vessel. Very important lore item. It's the receptacle, the mystical receptacle that will receive the Lord's souls sprinkled throughout Lordran. Snag one from Nito, one from Seath, one from the Four Kings, and one from the Witch of Izalith. And that will unlock the Kiln of the First Flame. So the quest expands a little bit. That's all well and good and fine, but most importantly, we can now warp. We can now jump from bonfire to bonfire and fast travel. No more running around, no more backtracking. First place we're going, back to Firelink to reap the rewards from having to put up with this guy. He says, hey, did you open the gates to Sen's fortress? Yeah, I sure did. Hey, would you like this miracle? You know what? I sure would. And now we've got Emit Force. Nice little skit. I should be a playwright. So we've got Emit Force, my favorite miracle. I absolutely love this thing. One, it does good damage, but I absolutely love the way it looks. The way that your character gathers up the energy, gathers up the force in front of you into this sphere that you can hurl forward, and then it explodes in a blast of knockback sweetness. I love it. I absolutely love it. I really like the casting time of it as well, because while you're gathering up the force before you emit the projectile, you can do some really clever things. It gives you the opportunity to assess a situation and say, do I want to lock on with this? Do I want to unlock and throw it at my feet? Do I want to try and manually aim it? So you can do some really clever things with that. I like it, and it has a really cool Kamehameha thing going. We're also heading back up to the parish. We're going to pay Rhea a visit, probably buy out her stock. We'll pop some soul items, pick up everything that she has to offer. Kind of sad because she'll go hollow afterwards. Ran into Petrus on the way up here too. That might be ominous. But he's apparently back from whatever the hell he was doing down in the Tomb of Giants. Whatever nonsense, tomfoolery, trouble he was getting into down there. And, yeah, I don't know. Here's where Rhea used to be. She has been killed. I'm gonna give it a well, what is it? Not in a condescending way, but in a, well, what is it? Kind of way. Snag our 7 humanity and her pendant of fond memories. Petrus has sneaked up here and killed her. We are not gonna let that pass. We got everything we needed from Rhea, so I'm not too brokenhearted about it. We talked about that a couple episodes back, right after we saved her. We grabbed Wrath of the Gods, we grabbed Great Heal. Those are available exclusively from her. Everything else we can pick up elsewhere. But you know what? It bugs me. And we're not gonna let this ass get away with it. So we're gonna confront him. He's gonna say, oh, woe is me, I lost her down on our little expedition. And we'll talk to him again and say, you know what, she's dead. And he'll say, what? How can this be? This is all my fault. Nice little double meaning there too, because he thinks that we think that it's his fault because he lost her down in the catacombs. But no, we know better. We know it is quite literally his fault because he went up that elevator and probably bashed her head in with his mace. Oh, that's brutal. That's a terrible image. Grisly. He is indeed a dark soul. So we're going to put him down. Just a handful of overpowered Wrath of the Gods thanks to our new equipment. And off he fades. We're gonna grab his little sparkly. That'll be the evidence we need to prove he killed her. On his person, we find her talisman. Poor Rhea's unique ivory talisman. Kind of sorry to see Petrus go. I think he's actually kind of a cool character, or an interesting character at least. I think it's the little clues that you get along the way, that he's up to something nefarious, are pretty slick. You found those cracked red-eye orbs at the very beginning, his little secret stash. I think the guy that voice acted him did a pretty good job of making him sound dispassionate as well. And you really get the sense that he's shifty. And now he's gone. Goodbye, Petrus. Goodbye to you as well. We'll wrap on that. As always, let me know, what did I miss? What did I get wrong? What do you do differently? Definitely some slop this time around, but we survived. No deaths through Anor Londo. Took out Ornstein and Smough on our first attempt. Let me also say thank you to anybody that has come back and checked out the series. The outpouring of support and props and the advice flying back and forth in the comments is absolutely fucking brilliant. Thank you so much. I think in the next one we'll probably head for maybe New Londo. We'll figure out something to do with our Lord Vessel. I'll catch you then, and see you next time. Bye.